I do have a question or two for you, Mike. I've heard Travis Bullard speak quite a bit. He, of course, is the Global Foundry spokesperson, and he has mentioned how hundreds of jobs will be created by the operation up in Malta. Do you have any feel for what percentage of those jobs will be filled by local talent?
My guess is that out of the 1,200 jobs, they will bring 200 to 300 people initially from outside the region, from their other plants, on a 2 or 3 year rotation. Much like someone who works for GE might be assigned to go to a facility somewhere around the world. I think as once they get the culture of their business firmly established with the employees that are going to be hired here, once they're able to train people who have not worked in a semiconductor manufacturing facility, I think you'll see more and more local people. The other real issue, though, is how many people will move to the region for permanent jobs. And so what we're looking at is housing stock, educational systems, and the support structure of this community to welcome people from around the world. Obviously, with a startup where we don't have an existing workforce with high-level experience in semiconductor manufacturing, there's going to be a great deal of training for people who are already in the region working in advanced manufacturing to integrate into what's going to be done in Malta.
Sure. Now, speaking of that, Mike, I'm sure Malta is well aware that they may be converged upon by quite a few people moving into the area in terms of locating for jobs, and also the fact that there could be some ancillary businesses moving to the area as well. Have you seen any evidence of the steps that Malta is taking to take a proactive approach in that area?
Well, certainly the Malta Town Board has undertaken a comprehensive master plan. You can see some of this construction on Route 9 already, both in terms of Ellsworth Commons, which is a upscale mixed-use project. Many of the technology workers that we expect to move to the area are used to these types of developments where there are restaurants and movie theaters next to stores and offices, next to condos and townhouses. I think what you're also going to see, though, is a resurgence in places like Mechanicsville or in Saratoga Springs, certainly. With what we're also seeing are many people are taking advantage of living in the country, because in 3 to 5 miles or 10 miles from the site, there are very rural areas. And I think that's going to help our region, because we'll be able to disperse this burst of new residents and integrate them into the types of communities that they're interested in living. We're also seeing the supply chain companies setting up initial outposts, if you will, 3 to 5 people. And we're seeing most of that activity. You see it regularly in the Business Review or the Times Union when a realtor announces that he or she has been successful in leasing space to a company.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Now, Mike, just a brief geography lesson here. When we talk about Tech Valley, many of us just think about it being maybe the capital district or the capital region, but it's very much more extensive than that. Mike, how far-reaching is Tech Valley in your?
Tech Valley is really a moniker that Wally Altus, then at the Albany Colony Regional Chamber, coined. Today, it's on Wikipedia. They'll tell you it's from north of the Tappan Zee Bridge to the Canadian border. When you look at the historic manufacturing that IBM and others have done in the lower Hudson Valley, to the activity going on here in the capital region, to what's going on in the Plattsburgh area, where Gary Douglas from the Chamber in Plattsburgh refers to Plattsburgh as Montreal's U.S. suburb. We're starting to see a real corridor, and that corridor basically follows the thruway in the northwest.
That's pretty impressive. Now, any questions from our audience at all?
And also encourage you to feel free to contact me at the Center for Economic Growth for any additional information, or in the future if you have questions or ideas that we should be focusing on. several of the attendees are members of CEG.
That sounds great, Mike. I haven't received any questions from any of the attendees, but one of our attendees did mention that the webinar is very encouraging to the business outlook for the region, which is good. I do have one question here. One person asks that he wonders if recent announcements in building a new hospital in the area are being looked at.
Yes, I think when you look at the expansion at both Albany Medical Center and St. Peter's, as well as at the hospital in Glens Falls and in Saratoga, and the partnership between Saratoga Hospital and the medical center, it's a very important issue for people moving to the area with family members and individual healthcare issues as to what our healthcare services are. And we're very fortunate in this region to have an excellent healthcare delivery system.
Great. Just as a parting word, many of our students and prospects for the Weekend MBA program come from Second Valley and a little bit beyond. We're drawing in people from further and further away, from as far south as New York City, from as far north as Lake Placid, even Montreal, and as far west as Utica, Syracuse, and Oneonta. So I think our student population is being well represented within the Tech Valley geography, which is nice. And as Mike has mentioned, our next program will be Monday, April 4th, same time, 12:15. The topic is business leadership. Our presenter is Dr. Edward Pavor. He's a management consultant who travels across the country consulting with companies, both large and small, about the challenges they face in terms of business leadership. He's also an instructor in a Weekend MBA program as well. My contact information as a refresher, in case you want some more information on the Weekend MBA program or more information on a webinar series, my email address is on the screen right now, as is my phone number and fax, and you have my Twitter handle as well. I want to thank Michael very, very much for presenting today and being a part of our webinar series. I'd like to thank David Levesque for his always helpful nature with the behind-the-scenes programming of our webinar. I also want to thank the attendees as well. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next on April 4th. Take care.
Thank you very much. It was great to be with you all.